Hey, good afternoon, everybody. It's KB5 MIQ Big Boy. Thought we'd get a little video in for the week. I had a hectic week. I had planned to get a video together to actually show y'all some different 10-meter antennas, but I've got a small cow herd, even though my grandson says it's not enough to be a herd. I've got 14 head of first calf heifers and having trouble with them this year, having calves, and I had to pull one this week. And she didn't want to take the calf, so I've got her in cow jail trying to get them to bond. So I've been kind of hectic around here. So anyway, I've mentioned this numerous times in my videos that I try to keep this channel pointed toward two subjects: new hams and ham radio on a budget. Now, anything I suggest or tell anybody how I do things, I'm not telling you have to do that my way, by no means. And if you got the funds to go above and beyond on anything, by all means, go for it. It'll last longer, and it may work. It probably work better. A lot of this stuff I think about works really good, but there's no problem with spending what you want to spend on this hobby because there's an opportunity to spend money on this hobby. I promise you. Well, like I said, DLX, HKV, and myself talk a lot during our roundtable that we're not seeing a lot of new hams talking about getting on the low band, especially 10 meters. Even a new technician class trying getting on the low band on 10 meters. They're just mainly sticking with repeaters. So we're going to talk a little bit about antennas, how easy it is to get in. Come here, cat. Ham radio cat's hollering at me. Come here. And different antennas, how easy it is to get on 10 meters economically. Okay. Oh, I want to tell you a little history, and a lot of you younger guys may have to Google what I'm telling you. But I got licensed in this hobby in '91. All right. Come on, cat. But in '91, Dish Network DirecTV wasn't around to my knowledge, or they wasn't in my part of the world. In fact, the little town I lived in didn't have cable TV till about that time. What few people had satellites that come out in the '80s was them old big K-band, I think, satellites. They had these 10, 12-foot dishes that rotated out in your front yard that kind of made your house look like, hey, ham radio cat, Aaron, old buddy, my number one fan, old ham radio cat, finally decided to get up here. Them old big dishes kind of made your house look like headquarters for Strategic Air Command Early Warning Center. But I never had one of those. But what I'm getting at, especially rural areas, every house had a TV antenna. And if you live as rural as I did, and you wanted good television reception, most of those TV antennas were big because we were still on wideband analog TV broadcasts. So if you live where I live, way away from any station, and you wanted to get halfway decent reception, you had to put a pretty long TV antenna up with a lot of elements on it, which had a lot of gain to help you get a good signal. All right. A lot of these people put TV rotators on. And even in '91, there was still a lot of 11-meter base stations around. Now, let's talk about 11-meter antennas a minute. Hey, buddy. All right. My very first 10-meter beam was a 3-element 11-meter CB beam that WD5HKV, a friend of mine, respaced and trimmed for 10 meters. Worked great. I talked all over the world on that antenna. In fact, I worked Japan off the back of it one time. I didn't even think, I thought I had turned it west. I had it pointed due east and worked Japan off the back of it. So if you could ever get a hold of one of them, they make excellent antennas. Now, at the time, satellites started coming into being. Prime Star was the first one. People started getting away from TV antennas, and a lot of times they'd give you the pole and antenna and everything with it just to take it down to get rid of it. I never bought a push-up pole in my life until I had to buy this 50-footer here a few years back for my antenna. I don't know how many of them I've gone through over the years. People just give them to you. Come get it. Take it down. You can have it. Well, it's a good way to get on the air. Now, flash forward there to about 2000, we had a heck of an ice storm, which pretty much wiped out all the old antennas that were still on people's houses. The reason I took time to tell you that story is I'm sure if you go, especially to any kind of ham swap or flea markets, big flea markets, go in there and look around. Somebody will have old TV rotors, and be sure if they got it, ask them if they got the box. If for some reason that's HKV will back me up on this, we'd go to them ham comms in Dallas, and there was always an abundance of the outside motors. Hey, buddy. But you'd find many of the control boxes used. And I don't know if people would forget about them or throw them away and then give the antenna away later. I know one year out there we caught a guy had a big case of brand new Channel Master TV rotator control boxes, $20 a piece, settle them as fast as he could put them on his table. And I've got one, it finally broke. In fact, I'm on my last used rotator right now, an old Alliance rotator. Buddy, get your butt out of my face. Anyway, but they work great. If you can find one, get it. They're not that expensive comparably. They're about $130 at MTC for a brand new light duty rotator, which works fine on 10. Remember when you get your license, you had to learn how to figure antenna length for dipoles, and there's Yagi calculator links that'll give you the length of the director, the driven element, and the reflector, and the spacing. Old TV antennas, especially the ones with square boom, make excellent antenna projects. My first VHF 2-meter Yagi was a 5-element that HKV helped me build, pretty much built it for me, helped me and him built it one day. Used it for years. It finally got destroyed in a blowdown. I used it for probably 10 years. And they work fine making them like that. You can put some, like I say, them old 11-meter C-beam beams, excellent 10-meter antennas if you can still find any. Now, you may have to get creative looking. If you live in a rural area, drive around. If somebody's out in the yard and you see an antenna up, be polite, ask them if they want to get rid of it. Go to flea markets. Anywhere you can go, ham swaps, anything you can go to. Check that stuff out. Now, I'm going to tell you a story on HKV. Like I said, he taught me how to do this hobby on a budget himself. And this also goes to show you what you can make work, and it'll work pretty good for a long time. Now, everybody wants a tower up, and that's great. I'm past wanting to put a tower up. My knees are shot. I couldn't climb it. I just use push-up poles, and I'm good with that. In fact, I got a card from the Canary Islands today for a contact I made. But if you're going to put a tower up, it's where things can get really expensive. Of course, you got the tower, whether it's used or new. But if you put up a rotor that's actually made to be used in a tower, I think everything start about $500, and some of them are up to $1,000. So that's a big expense right there in an antenna project. If you go the route, even if you find them used, you're gonna pay several $100s for them. All right, HKV put up 40 foot of Ron 25 tower back in the 90s, early 90s. He had gotten a full-size Mosley T33 tri-bander. Full-size antenna, not the T33 Junior, the big one. This person who had it was an antenna homebrewer. He had changed the boom on it, lengthened it using a piece of 4-inch aircraft grade aluminum tubing, and he had added another full-size Mosley director on that element, on that antenna. So he had a huge 4-element Mosley tri-bander. I used to kid him. I said, it looked like a wing of a C-130 up there on top of it. He didn't buy a $1,000 rotor. He took one of them RCA Channel Master rotors that you clamp on a pole, put all thread in the 4 holes where the clamps goes, and adjusted it out in the center of that tower where it was lined up, tightened it up. And I think that was all the support he had on it. It was just that all thread sitting on that rotor. Dropped his mass through there into the top of that rotor, put that 4-element monstrosity tire bander on it, and a VHF Yagi on top of that, and used it for years. Just like that. Now, I'll be the first to admit, I was over one day and he said, listen to this. He made that thing rotate. You could hear that rotor screaming from the ground, but it was cheap and it worked. And it lined up in his shack, worked like a champ. So this gets back to what you can do with this hobby on a budget. I had a guy comment, ask me about a 10-meter dipole in his attic. He lives in an HOA. Great, especially if the taller the house, he'd work even better. What I suggested to him, since a 10-meter dipole, I don't have the calculation in front of me, but it's going to be overall length of roughly 16 feet. Instead of an inverted V configuration like most people use them, put it in a flat T configuration straight across the top of his attic. I know HKV has told me that he thinks that they got a better radiation pattern like that. And that'd be a good way to do it. Most people put them on a pole. Inverted V is really the only practical way to do it. W5DLX uses that, and I'm going to get this name wrong. I'm going to call it a Wolf River. It may be a Wolf Creek. Ground-mounted, portable, multiband vertical. And has good luck with it. And that's where, and even he has said this, that his Nano VNA, same type I've got, comes in great when he goes out camping, sets it up. Instead of having to run back and forth to get it tuned just right, he can sit there at that Nano, tune it, and he's good to go. Like I said in my other videos, right now I'm using an MFJ 2-element Moxon Yagi on 10 meters up about 45, 48 feet in the air. Works like a champ. There's other antennas out there that you can get. Dipoles work great. I've worked all over the world with a dipole. But the main point I'm trying to make with this video is don't wait to get on something, to get on a band, if you don't think you have to, if you think you got to have brand new top of the line gear. If your budget won't let you buy brand new top of the line gear. Get back into your study books. Look up how to figure dipoles. Go to Yagi. You can look them up online. Yagi dipole calculator. Put in the frequency. Give you every measurement right there online. And do some antenna building. And enjoy this hobby. That's, to me, is a great thing about it. And another thing, HKV always told me, he said, I don't ever put up any more antennas than I can afford to have blown down. And that's the way I've done it. I had some, if I could find them pictures, if I could put them in a video, I lost every antenna I had probably 10, 12 years ago to a bad windstorm. Got them all. And I didn't lose much. Those poles, I'd lose more now because I've had to buy this pole, but all them poles were given to me back then. So, but look for flea markets right around rural areas. If you see somebody in the yard, or if they got an antenna up, ask them, hey, y'all still use that? Would you be interested in getting rid of it? Get it. I know scrap metal, high price scrap metal cleaned up a lot of that stuff. So it's going to be harder to find. But look for it. So, alrighty. If anybody got any comments or suggestions for a video, leave me a comment. I appreciate it. Second Saturday in May, Main Trading Company in Paris, Texas is having their last second weekend of the second Saturday of the month sidewalk sale. I think they're going to have a pretty good giveaway this time at the end of it too. If you can make it to Northeast Texas area, Paris, Texas, it's a good one to go to. I'm glad to see them things starting back up after all this COVID shutdown. I wish they'd refire Hamcom back up, but I'm afraid it's not going to happen again. Appreciate everybody who subscribed to the channel. There's all kinds of Facebook pages. Four States Amateur Radio Club. I just got on their page. They got a good club in Texarkana area. You know, Dallas Amateur Radio, Cowtown Amateur Radio, Amateur Radio Flea Market Trading Post, Ham Radio Flea Market Trading Post, Amateur Radio Elmer's, Ham Radio for Newbies. Tons of them on Facebook. It gives you good information. Tons of videos on YouTube besides me. I appreciate everybody who subscribed to this channel. I enjoy doing these, and the channel seems to be growing a little bit. Most people seem to enjoy them, and I certainly appreciate it. I appreciate W5DLX and WD5HKV for helping me out with ideas with this. Hope everybody has a great week. This is KB5MIQ Big Boy 73.